Homer Simpson woke with a start, his bedsheets damp with sweat, the faint glow of dawn seeping through the curtains of 742 Evergreen Terrace. His head throbbed, not from the usual duff-fueled hangover, but from a deeper, gnawing unease. He shuffled to the kitchen, bleary-eyed, craving the familiar comfort of a donut. The calendar on the fridge caught his eye. 2025. He froze, his meaty fingers hovering over the coffee pot. 2025, he muttered, scratching his stubble. That can't be right. It's 2019. I was just... His voice trailed off as fragmented memories of 2019, Bart's pranks, Marge's meatloaf, Lisa's saxophone, flickered like a dying film reel. Determined to shake off the confusion, Homer drove to the Quick E-Mart for his morning squishy. But the sign above the store was wrong. Quick E-Mart, it read, the neon letters pulsing in a sickly green hue that made his stomach churn. Inside, Apu greeted him with a smile too wide, his teeth unnaturally sharp. "Welcome, Mr. Simpson." "Same as always?" Apu's voice echoed, layered, as if spoken by two mouths. Homer nodded, uneasy, grabbing a squishy that tasted like ash and static. The world felt off, like a painting smudged by careless hands. Back home, he flipped on the TV, hoping for Krusty's morning show to lift his spirits. Instead, Krusty's face filled the screen, his clown makeup cracked like dry earth, his eyes unblinking voids. "Hey, kids!" Krusty cackled, but the sound twisted into a guttural scream that clawed at Homer's ears. He fumbled with the remote, heart pounding, but the channel wouldn't change. The same image flickered, Krusty's grin stretching wider, his laughter looping until Homer yanked the plug from the wall. Silence fell, but the air felt heavy, as if the room itself was watching him. Homer sought normalcy in his family. "Marge, something's weird," he said, bursting into the living room. Marge was knitting, her movements mechanical, her blue hair swaying like tendrils in a breeze that didn't exist. "Weird, homie. Everything's fine," she replied, her smile fixed, her eyes glassy. Bart and Lisa sat on the couch, staring at a blank TV screen, nodding in unison. "Yeah, Dad, chill," Bart said, but his voice lacked its usual mischief. Lisa's saxophone lay untouched, coated in dust. Homer's gut twisted. They weren't his family, not really. They were echoes, shells, synchronized to a world he didn't belong in. At the bathroom mirror, Homer's reflection revealed the truth. His skin was cracking, faint lines spiderwebbing across his cheeks. Beneath the fissures, a sickly green glow pulsed, like the radiation from the nuclear plant had seeped into his bones. He touched his face, and his fingers came away tacky, as if his flesh was melting into wax. "Dough!" he yelped, but the sound was swallowed by a low hum emanating from the walls. Panic rising, he stumbled to the nuclear plant, hoping work would ground him. At the plant, Homer slumped at his console, but the screens displayed endless loops of advertisements, duff cans spinning, their logos warped into spirals that burned. His eyes, he couldn't look away. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time felt liquid, slipping through his grasp. His fingers, now thickened and gnarled like twisted rebar, struggled to press the keys. He was decaying, not just tired. His body wasn't built for this year, this place. The realization hit like a freight train. He was rotting in a reality that wasn't his. That night, sleep offered a fleeting escape. In his dreams, Springfield bloomed in vibrant 2019 colors, Bart skateboarding, Marge humming, the air free of that oppressive hum. But as he reached for a donut in the dream, invisible claws sank into his chest, yanking him back to 2025. He woke gasping, the bedroom walls pulsing with grotesque faces, their mouths open in silent screams, melting into the plaster before he could blink. His heart raced as he stumbled to the plant the next morning, desperate for answers. In a dusty corner of Sector 7G, Homer found it, a calendar, its pages stuck on 2019, untouched by time. The sight sparked hope, a lifeline to the world he belonged to. But as he reached for it, his eyes glowed like the screens that haunted him, and his skin cracked further, oozing a viscous, glowing sludge. He wasn't just out of place, he was unraveling. Clutching the calendar, Homer vowed to uncover the truth before this broken year consumed him entirely. Homer clutched the dusty 2019 calendar from Sector 7G, its edges brittle, as if time itself had rejected it. His fingers, now gnarled and heavy like rusted pipes, trembled as he traced the faded numbers. The glow from his cracked skin cast an eerie light across the paper, and the hum that haunted Springfield pulsed louder, vibrating in his bones. He had to find a way back to 2019 before the decay consuming him spread further. The school, where Bart spent his days, seemed like the next logical step. Maybe there were more clues hidden in familiar places. At Springfield Elementary, the hallways were wrong. The fluorescent lights flickered in patterns that made Homer's eyes ache, and the air smelled of damp metal like blood left to rust. He pushed open a classroom door, expecting to see Bart's usual chaos, but the room was empty, save for a single door at the far end, unmarked and pulsing with a faint black light. Curiosity overpowered fear, and Homer stepped through. The world dissolved into a void, an endless expanse of nothingness that sucked at his soul. His screams echoed back, distorted, as unseen hands tried to pull him deeper. He stumbled back, slamming the door shut, his heart pounding like a trapped animal. The school wasn't a sanctuary, it was a trap. Desperate for answers, Homer headed to City Hall, where the town's records might hold some truth. The building loomed, its clock tower spinning backward, each tick unraveling seconds of his life. Inside, the clocks on the walls moved erratically, some frozen, others racing in reverse. Homer felt time slipping, his memories of 2019 blurring as if being erased. He rummaged through files, but the papers crumbled into ash, and the air grew thick with whispers. 2025 is the best year. The phrase sent a chill down his spine, his skin splitting further, oozing luminescent sludge that dripped onto the floor, hissing like acid. Back home, the distortion worsened. A half-eaten donut on the kitchen counter wasn't his. Its bite marks were too perfect, too alien. Objects shifted when he wasn't looking. Marge's knitting needles rearranged into spirals. Lisa's books opened to blank pages that bled ink. His family's mechanical smiles followed him, their eyes tracking his every move. Homer's sanity frayed, his mind teetering between rage and despair. He needed answers, someone who understood the impossible, that someone was Mr. Burns. At the E nuclear plant, Homer confronted his boss in the shadowy depths of his office. Burns sat hunched, his skeletal frame illuminated by a sickly green glow from the window. "Simpson!" Burns hissed, his smile reptilian. "2025 is the best year, wouldn't you agree?" His words slithered, laced with malice. Homer demanded answers, his voice cracking as his throat felt like gravel. Burns chuckled, admitting he knew of the temporal rupture. "This world is a gift," he sneered, "and I've made a deal to keep it." He spoke of an entity, a cosmic horror that fed on the decay of misplaced souls like Homer's, granting power to those who served it. Burns's eyes gleamed, reflecting a hunger that wasn't human. Homer's next stop was Professor Frink, Springfield's resident genius. Frink's lab was a nightmare of sparking wires and pulsating machinery, the air thick with ozone and dread. Frink, his glasses fogged with sweat, confirmed the worst. The timeline had collapsed in 2020, fragmented by a force beyond comprehension. "The nuclear plant's energy, Glavin," Frink stammered. "It's a beacon for something unnatural." He pointed to the cooling towers, now throbbing with a rhythm that matched the hum in Homer's skull. The entity was there, manipulating reality, and Homer was an anomaly it wanted gone. That night, Homer's dreams of 2019 were vivid but tainted. He walked through Springfield's streets, vibrant and whole, but a shadow loomed, a figure with too many limbs watching from the edges. He woke screaming, the entity's presence lingering like a stain on his mind. His body was worse, his skin resembled cracked stone, and his left hand twitched as if trying to escape his arm. Frink's warning echoed. The entity was at the plant, and Homer had to face it. A vision of Marge and the kids in 2019 flashed in his mind, their warmth a stark contrast to the cold decay of 2025. Clenching his fists, Homer resolved to confront the horror, no matter the cost, before he was consumed entirely. Homer staggered toward the Springfield nuclear power plant, the 2019 calendar crumpled in his pocket, its edges fraying like his own body. The cooling towers loomed ahead, pulsing with a sickly green glow that matched the luminescence seeping from his cracked skin. His left hand twitched uncontrollably, fingers curling into unnatural spirals, as if the entity Professor Frink warned him about was already claiming him. The hum that had haunted him since waking in this broken 2025 was deafening now, vibrating through his skull, whispering promises of oblivion. He had to face the entity or lose himself forever. Inside the plant, the air was thick with a metallic tongue, the walls slick with a black viscous ooze that pulsed like veins. The cooling tower's heartbeats shook the floor, and at their base, Homer found it. A writhing mass of tentacles and eyes, each orb reflecting a distorted Springfield, where faces melted into screams. The entity wasn't just a creature, it was the fracture in time itself, a cosmic parasite feeding on misplaced souls. Its voice, a cacophony of shattered voices, boomed in his mind. "You don't belong here, Simpson. Feed me and be free." It showed him visions. Lenny, Carl, Moe, all trapped in loops of agony, their bodies twisting into grotesque parodies of themselves. Mr. Burns emerged from the shadows, his skeletal frame hunched, eyes glinting with greed. "Simpson, you fool!" he sneered, his voice dripping with venom. "Give yourself to it and I'll take your place in 2019. He raised a claw-like hand, offering Homer as a sacrifice to the entity. But the creature laughed, a sound like grinding gears, and the ground quaked, sending Burns sprawling. The entity didn't need his permission. It was already consuming Homer, his body fusing with the floor, his skin hardening into the rough texture of the plant's concrete walls. His legs buckled, merging with the ground as tentacles slithered. Up his spine, Homer's mind reeled, but a memory broke through. Marge's gentle smile in 2019, Bart's mischievous grin, Lisa's saxophone filling the air with warmth. The vision anchored him, fueling his defiance. "I'm not your lunch, you freak," he roared, though his voice cracked like breaking glass. He clawed at the entity's tendrils, each touch burning his decaying flesh, but he refused to yield. The entity's eyes narrowed, its form swelling, the towers above trembling as if ready to collapse. In his pocket, the old pocket watch Frink had mentioned, a relic from a forgotten experiment, vibrated faintly. Frink's words echoed. "It's tied to the plant's temporal anomalies, Glavin." Homer yanked it out, its face stuck on 2019, the hands twitching as if alive. The entity recoiled, its tentacles thrashing, as the watch emitted a faint hum that countered its own. Homer realized it was a key, a way to disrupt the creature's hold on this fractured timeline. He smashed the watch against the floor, and a blinding light erupted, tearing a rift in the air. A shimmering portal, showing glimpses of 2019's Springfield. The entity shrieked, its form unraveling, revealing countless souls trapped within. Its mass, their faces contorted in silent agony. Homer's heart pounded. He could free them, weaken the creature. With every ounce of will, he reached into the rift, his arms stretching impossibly, pulling at the threads of trapped souls. They poured out, ghostly figures of Springfield's residents, their forms dissolving into light. The entity's screams grew frantic, its tentacles lashing, but it was shrinking, its power fading with each soul released. Homer's body was nearly gone, his torso now a grotesque amalgam of flesh and concrete, his eyes glowing like the plant's reactors. He saw Marge, Bart, and Lisa one last time in the rift, their faces calling him home. With a final surge, he dove into the portal, clutching the Watcher's remains. A deafening explosion of light and sound engulfed him, the entity's screams fading into silence. Springfield shuddered, its colors returning, the hum gone. The Quickie-Mart sign flickered back to Quickie-Mart, and the sky lost its sickly hue. But in the plant's ruins, a forgotten calendar lay open to 2019, its pages untouched by the chaos. A low, mocking laugh echoed through the empty halls, hinting that the entity's influence might linger. Homer was gone, his fate unknown. Had he reached 2019, or was he lost between times? Springfield seemed normal again, but the air held a faint, uneasy chill, as if waiting for the next fracture to emerge.